Hello, hello.
Hi.
Welcome back to our series on how to copy a look you saw on the runway or maybe at a shop. I'm Lisa,
I'm Dola.
and this is a Three of Skeins podcast, extra episode. So, Mom, when we last left off, we were talking about your swatch and
Yeah.
what you information you can get from your swatch and how to get accurate information from your swatch. So now, what do we do with that information?
Yeah. You look at your swatch and you do those calculations so you can find out the number of stitches you need, the number of rows you need. Uh, I look at my book. And how much yarn do I need to do this? But you also need to know what the piece needs to measure in order for the to get that information. So if your the width of your front is 20 inches, you could tell with your calculations, okay, I'm going to need this many stitches to get to 20 inches. If you know it's going to be 15 inches high, you can measure how many rows you need to get
Mhm.
to 15 inches high. So that's what your swatch is going to help you with. But you need, in order for your clothes to fit, you need accurate measurement
Of your
of
body.
your body.
Okay.
And this, you can measure yourself, and sometimes that's hard to do by yourself. But another way to do it is to find a piece of garment, a sweater, a top, something that fits the way you want this piece to fit, and measure that.
Mhm.
So you need to measure, the bust area. You need to measure the length from the top to the back to the where you want it to hit. You need to measure
The shoulder
the
width.
shoulder width if
Mhm.
you need that. You need to measure your arm width, your armhole, which is going to come down right here in front of the bust measurement. So you need accurate measurements in order to have your piece fit. Also, if you measure yourself, you always have to remember ease. Ease is a little bit of extra that you need to fit in the garment properly, to get it over your head, to make it sit
Yeah.
the way you want it to sit in your body. And that could be, you know, from negative ease to positive ease. So if you want it to be tight, you're going to do it just at your body measurement blank. You want it to fit looser. I usually add like 4 inches in ease for most things that I make, simply because, like I said before, it's not always dead even. So if it's a little less, fine, it still fits well.
Mhm.
So that's usually my go-to ease. This time I might have made it a little bigger because I wanted it to fit a little bit bigger.
Now, I would like to also say that positive ease. We hear about that all the time, but I just want to make sure everybody understands what we mean. So, ease means it's bigger than your body measurement.
Your body measurement plus two
Exactly.
inches. Your body measurement plus four
4 inches,
inches.
whatever, that, but it's bigger than your body measurement. And negative ease can mean anything from it's the exact same number as your body measurement, so the piece has to stretch for you to fit it, or it could be an inch or two smaller than your body measurement.
The other thing to remember is when you're adding ease, you're not adding ease everywhere. You're
Mhm.
not going to add 4 inches to your shoulder.
Right.
You're going to add 4 inches where it fits to your body.
Mm-hmm.
So your armhole is another place you have to be real careful because you don't want it hanging all the way down.
Yeah.
There's a line where that's where it lives. That's it. You're not adding ease in those places.
Mm-hmm. Now, and that's the other thing, you can decide how much ease you want
Yes.
because mom says she likes to add about 4 inches of ease. I, on the other hand, usually will add only 2 inches of ease to most of the things I make, unless I mean it to fit in an oversized sort of way.
Well, like I said,
But it's a preference thing. That's what
it
I'm
is
trying
a
to,
preference.
yeah.
And also, like I said, I find for me, because I am a little, sometimes I don't trust the bat. That's the truth. So I always leave myself room
Mhm.
so that it will fit no matter what.
Mhm.
And I know that's a little, that's just a me thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we all have those things, okay? We all have those things. But ease and the amount of ease is a style thing and a preference thing. So even if, let's say, you chose a pattern that said it had 12 inches of ease in it, maybe you didn't want it that oversized. That's something you can decide on.
And another reason I leave extra ease is because I crochet, and crochet doesn't stretch as much as knitting do. It stretches and it doesn't come back all the way sometimes. So you just want to leave enough so it fits the way you want, but you don't want it to be too big or too
Too
small.
small.
So
Hmm.
you gotta like navigate that a little bit. Especially when you're doing something, like if I'm doing something from a knitting pattern, it's going to be a little bit different for me. Now, of course, when I'm doing something that I've only seen in a picture, I
Hmm.
have to kind of project what I think the ease is in
Yes,
that picture.
exactly. Exactly. So let me ask you, when you are actually physically measuring yourself, how tight do you want that tape measure to be um,
That's
to get a good measure?
that's exactly what you don't want it to be. You don't want it to be tight.
Hmm.
You want it to just rest on that area without any ease, without any give. You don't want to stretch it, but you don't want it to be tight. So that's what I said. It's kind of sometimes hard to measure yourself because it's falling in the back. You're pulling
Yeah.
it to the front. Your best bet is to get somebody else to measure you
Hmm.
for the most accurate measurement.
And if you're going to take the measurement from a garment, do you want the garment necessarily to be of a similar shape to the thing you want to make?
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. And then there's other things that you need to consider because I have one arm that's bigger than the other. So if you just measure one, don't ask me how I know, and make that thing to the measurement of that one arm, then it's always going to be a little tight on the other side.
Yeah.
So measure both sides of everything that you measure.
Yeah. Because yeah, that can be a thing.
And it's crazy because it's not like it's like a half an inch. It's bigger than the other one.
Okay, so now once you got your measurements, right? How do you translate stitches to inches and inches to stitches?
How do you translate?
Yeah, because okay, so let's say I know my bust is 48, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do I make that into a number of stitches?
Okay, that's exactly what the calculations does.
Okay.
That's exactly what those calculation does. If you use I'm sorry, I'm gonna look at this. Stitches per inch,
Your
um
your gauge.
your
That's where your
gauge.
gauge comes in.
Yeah, yeah. So that gets calculated. I don't want to say off the top of my head because I get flustered, but that's exactly what you using your gauge for.
Okay,
Once you got
so
your gauge, you're gonna multiply that by the number of stitches, and that's how you get it.
by the number of inches.
By the number of
So
inches,
let's
yeah.
say your gauge tells you you're knitting or crocheting 3 stitches per inch. That means I'm going to multiply my number of inches that I need by 3. And
Yeah.
that's going to tell me exactly how many stitches to cast on. So let's do an easy number. I need 9 inches. I have 3 stitches per inch. I'm going to do 3 times 3 equals 9. And that's how
No,
you.
3 times 9.
Oh, thank you. See, I just did it wrong.
That's why
3
I didn't
times
want to do
9
it.
equals 27. I need 27 stitches
Stitches.
to get those 9 inches
And you do the
together.
same thing with the row gauge. You
Yeah.
need.
I need X number of rows, but I know what my swatch measured. Let's say I know my swatch measured 5 inches
And the row
high.
gauge is 5.
Hmm.
And you want 10 inches high. So 5 times 10, you need 50 rows to
Right,
make that.
right. So that's how you're going to translate from stitches to inches and back and forth, just like that. But that's going to take accurate measurements of both yourself and your swatch. So,
Yeah.
what method do you use to measure your swatches?
Oh, I'm making my swatch all the way across
Hmm.
from edge to edge and from top. to bottom.
And do you use a tape measure for that or something stuck?
I like to use a ruler
Mm-hmm.
because tape measures are flexible, like and I'm not always working in the best of conditions because I will be on the couch or I'm on my bed, and
Yes,
so
yes.
I like to set my swatch down, and I have a broad ruler that I put down on top of it. It's see through, and this my swatch is not moving,
Mm-hmm.
so I can see exactly where.
And it's supported by a flat surface.
Yes,
Yeah.
so I can see where it falls.
So we put our swatch. I do the same thing. I put my swatch down on a flat surface where the whole swatch is supported, and I measure it with a ruler because I find that I can fudge less with the ruler because it's not the tape measure lying to you. It's just or the swatch really. It could just be your method of measurement. It wasn't quite flat. It wasn't quite, And you know what? Sometimes I measure in centimeters instead of inches, just because I don't have to deal with fractions when I am measuring. Um, the centimeters is 10 millimeters to a centimeter, and I can just do decimals. And in my brain, it works better for me that way. So if that helps you, if you're used to the eighths and the sixteenths and the three quarters, if that works for you, do that.
And I also, when measuring the piece, and they laugh at me all the time because I run out looking for it. I use a yardstick because, again, I can lay it down, I can lay that stick across it, and know that my measurements are going to be pretty accurate.
We don't really laugh at her for using a yardstick, but it can be any time of the day or night, and someone will be like, "You see my yardstick?" Midnight.
It's when I'm working.
Like, what's going on? So I think those are our best tips for actually how to measure, where to measure, what to measure.
Oh, another tip that I kind of I got lately, and I was like, that makes so much sense. If you're doing a drop shoulder, don't use your armhole measurement as the hole on your shirt, on your top. Measure where the drop is going to be.
And you mean for the circumference of the actual
the
hole.
arm, because you know how you get that bunching under here? That's one of the problems, because when you use your armhole measure down here, it just gives you extra fabric.
Dun, dun, dun. Where'd you find that tip?
Bryant, what's her name? No, she does those.
Oh, yes. I'll link to her. I can't remember her name exactly right now, but
Suzanne
Bryant.
Suzanne Bryant,
yes.
Yeah. And she does the whole thing. She has a channel on TV, and she's really does a lot with measuring.
On YouTube. We watch YouTube on our TV.
But, she really shows you how to measure for different projects. It's not like you're taking the same measurement all the time, which is what I usually did, but then you get to think about, where do you want this particular part of the top or whatever you're making to fall?
Right.
And that's the measurement you need, which makes so much sense.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So I guess the next time, hopefully this will be finished, and maybe on the regular podcast, we could show it.
You're offering to be on the regular podcast?
I'm offering to have this be on the regular podcast.
Anyway, thanks, Mom. See you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.